I'm Jenny Brown. Welcome to this week's edition of MFB News. I hope everybody's keeping really well. Sorry to have not been with you last week. I managed to sneak a week in Mallorca and I'm incredibly lucky. More so, I came back and was actually complaining about the fact it was just too hot to be able to sit out in the sunshine while we were there. And someone then pointed out that it had rained for the whole week that I was away. So I'm very lucky. Actually, interestingly, some people have said to me, how was it travelling overseas? Was it very complicated with regards to all the paperwork and that kind of stuff? And actually, yes, there were some hoops to jump through, but it was actually relatively straightforward. We had to, we didn't have to do any tests to go because me and my partner have been double vaccinated. One of our children had to do a PCR test. The other one is young enough they didn't need to. And then coming back, we just had to get evidence of a negative lateral flow test. So it was actually quite straightforward. And while we were there in Mallorca, if I'm really honest with you, it actually felt kind of safer than it does in the UK. People are still very much wearing masks in communal spaces, and there's a hand sanitizer everywhere, and everyone's incredibly mindful of social distancing. So very safe, lovely break, and great to be back. Now, in terms of what we've got for you today, I'm not going to cover off 2 weeks worth of news. What I'm going to do is just give you some highlights in terms of changes from lenders over the last week, and then give you a kind of refresh about where we are in terms of pricing, loan to values, that kind of stuff, and then a quick update on the property market. Okay, so the first update from a lender that I wanted to share with you is that Foundation Home Loans has released a new limited edition product. Now, a limited edition product is where a lender will say, I'm going to lend X amount of money, so many millions of pounds, on a certain interest rate, and when that tranche of funds has been used up, it's gone and there's no more. What the lenders never tell us is how much money they have to lend on one of these products, and they also don't give you any kind of warning that it's about to run out. So it's kind of like, there's the rate, once it's gone, it's gone. So the rate itself is very interesting. It's a 5-year fixed rate. It's available up to 75% loan to value with loans of £750,000. And the reason this one's interesting is that it's available to individuals and limited companies, only for portfolio landlords. That's landlords with 4 or more mortgaged buy-to-let properties. It's a rate of 3.39%, and the thing that's really kind of good about this is that it's no arrangement fee. So those of us who play in the more specialist end of the market, so landlords with multi-units, HMOs, limited companies, you're going to be quite used to having to pay arrangement fees of up to 2% of the loan amount, and sometimes slightly more than this. It's quite unusual to find a rate which is priced so low with no arrangement fee. Now, actually, is this going to be the most cost-effective rate for you if you're in the market for a mortgage at the moment? Honestly, not necessarily. There are lower interest rate products available, but these will come with an arrangement fee. So what we would need to do is look at the overall cost over 5 years. You're going to pay this amount of interest plus these arrangement fees, and this number at the end is your total cost of borrowing. And with this particular product from Foundation Home Loans at 3.39, this is what you would pay. But actually, it's really great to see a lender bring out a rate which has got, like I say, a very relatively low interest rate with no arrangement fee. And also it comes with a free valuation, so very good. Just to recap, so Foundation Home Loans, who they're lending to. So this product is available for portfolio landlords only. Foundation Home Loans do not mind how many properties you've got in the background. Like I said, they can lend to individuals and limited companies. They take personal guarantees only from the directors. They're not interested in the shareholders. They're happy to accept layered companies. They can do remortgages within the first 6 months of ownership. There's no minimum income requirement. They're very flexible on things like ages as well. So really good product from Foundation Home Loans to share with you this week. The Nottingham have made some reductions of up to 20 basis points across their range, and they've also introduced a couple of 2 discounted fee-free products as well. Now, the Nottingham are playing in the limited company space, particularly in the context of what we're talking about just now. What's their offering like? Who are they looking to lend to? They're definitely one of the more vanilla limited company lenders. They will lend to those people who have no more than 15 properties in the background, which I do appreciate is still a very generous number. They're looking for very clean, straightforward companies. They want the people who sit behind the company to be earning £25,000 per year. They're not very racy, the kinds of properties they're after, the kinds of tenancy types, you know, it's very, very straightforward stuff. But actually with rates starting from 2.9% with fixed arrangement fees and free valuations, the pricing is very competitive. Now, you won't have heard us talk about the Nottingham. I'm trying to think if we've ever actually talked about them on these videos. They don't come up very often. They've been largely silent over the last year and a half. They had some real issues, particularly during the start of COVID, where they had a large number of applications and their rates were very, very good pre-COVID. They had a large number of applications come in, they simply couldn't cope with it, and I do think they really, really struggled. I can remember having applications where they were taking 40 days to look at a document, so it was really not a great experience for the borrowers, for us, and also for them as a lender. So they really reined back in from the market. They've come back out, they must have their servicing up to speed. Hopefully they'll keep a weathered eye on the balance between bringing in new business and also keeping their service levels up. I think lenders learn with these things the very hard way, unfortunately. But actually, look, you know, so there is a bit of a risk warning here in terms of their servicing and where they have been in the past. But as I say, at the moment, it looks to be relatively up to speed and the pricing is very, very good. So I think they're definitely a lender to consider as long as you're not in any sort of crazy rush at the moment. Now, for those of you who are in the market for an HMO or a multi-unit, I have some good news for you. Paragon have released a couple of new rates at 75% loan to value, and these are available to individuals and limited companies. And they're very, very good. So 2-year rates are starting from 2.85% and 5-year fix at 3.34%. These products have £750 cashback, a free mortgage valuation. There is a £299 application fee on these, but the rates are really, really good. Now, in terms of Paragon and their HMO and multi-unit offering, to my mind, they are exceptional in the marketplace. So they can consider HMOs of up to 20 rooms and multi-units of up to 20 self-contained units. So they're really able to take on those larger properties. And with the pricing where it is at the moment, it really is an incredibly competitive offering. So they're able to lend to individuals and limited companies, as I've said. There's no maximum number of properties in the background. Paragon are, you know, very much a landlord's lender. They love landlords. You know, this is all that they really do, and so they're very, very good at dealing with landlords, understanding their kind of business and their plans and that kind of stuff. So really, really good. No maximum number of properties in the background. You do need to be earning £25,000 a year. That can be from rental income. Paragon can accept remortgages within the first 6 months of ownership. They can accept corporate and DSS/housing associations as tenancies. So loads of great things sitting within their criteria with some very, very good rates. Okay, briefly now, a couple of other changes for you. So first of all, we've seen some pricing reductions from NatWest. Their rates now start from 1.6%, and we've also seen Leeds make some reductions of 8 basis points, and their pricing is now from 1.44. And hot off the press, Molo have made some rate reductions as well. So they've now got personal borrowing rates starting from 2.24% and limited company pricing starting from 2.9. Now, Molo are a new lender to the industry. They're a very good lender. They're very much focusing on the client experience in terms of mortgage application process. So they're leaning very heavily on technology, which is no bad thing, I hasten to add. Now, in terms of their key USPs, and I'm going to read this off my screen because this email's only literally just come in, they do need you to have a minimum income of £20,000 per year. You can be up to 95 years of age at completion. They do accept student let and corporate lets. They do accept personal affordability when looking at rental income if needed, i.e. top slicing. There's a minimum property value of £100,000, £75,000 for the North West and North East. And they can consider some minor adverse, and they do let to buy. So that's the process where you're going to rent out your existing home, which would be where you would put this mortgage, and then you're moving into a new main residence. They do want this to be linked to a simultaneous transaction. So essentially you need to be buying a new main residence to be living in at the same time. And they can consider first-time buyer, first-time landlords, i.e. someone who has no properties at all at the point of application. So some great news there from those 3 lenders as well this week. Okay, now as promised, a quick summary of where we are, a little recap as it were. So look, in terms of pricing, if you're a personal borrower, rates now start from 1.19%. I actually can't believe I'm saying it. I'm reading it out, they're so low. For SPV limited companies, pricing is now from 2.59. If you're a trading limited company, i.e. you don't just rent out property, you do other things as well, your pricing is now starting from 2.75%. Pricing for HMOs is 2.75 and multi-units is 2.85%. And these are true HMO and multi-unit rates. So lenders who can accept proper HMOs, which may be licensed. So we're not talking about lenders who just accept 4 sharers on a single tenancy. If you have 4 tenants on a single tenancy, you can generally get these away with on non-HMO rates, just so you know. In terms of loan to values, so the market is very much open at 80% loan to value at the moment. There are not as many lenders at 80% loan to value as there were pre-COVID, but they're certainly starting to come back in the last few weeks. We've reported numerous lenders coming back into that space. So I do think that's going to be an area where you will see more lenders coming to play over the coming weeks. As the lenders get quieter in turn, they're going to be looking for more transactions, but also because there's going to be more confidence in terms of where the property market is. What else? So look, there was some misnomers around whether you could get mortgages for student lets. Lenders are very happy to lend on properties with students in, and that's no problem at all. Holiday lets are big business at the moment, as you would imagine. More and more lenders are coming into play in that space. We've been reporting on that over the last few weeks as well. And look, in terms of what we're seeing our clients doing, we're certainly seeing more people waking up, more landlords are looking to acquire properties now the market's calmed down. I think a lot of landlords over the summer or the spring and summer were really kind of just sitting back and waiting to see what happened with the property market. There's been a huge amount of heat, lots of people fighting over properties. Gazumping became a thing again, which we hadn't seen for a long time. And I think a lot of our clients just said, you know what, actually, we're just going to sit back and let this play out. And then once everything's kind of settled, then we'll be looking to reinvest. And we're really starting to see the signs of that now. Just from my own client bank, we're really starting to see some clients, some I haven't spoken to for at least 5 years actually, really sort of saying, actually, the last year's been really quiet. I've managed to amass a fair amount of capital and I'm looking to invest it. So, how's the market looking? So I think all in all, in terms of where we are now, just to summarise, the pricing is incredibly low. We're at pretty much pre-COVID lending conditions again. And the housing market has really cooled down. We'll come on to that in a moment. But actually, so if you are thinking about investing, now feels like a very, opportune moment for you. Okay, landlords, some good news for you. So record tenant demand and properties being let out quicker than ever before across Great Britain has led to the average asking rent of a home outside of London surpassing £1,000 per calendar month for the first time. So the average asking price is now £1,007 per calendar month. And this is according to Rightmove's quarterly rental trends tracker. Now, the latest data also shares positive news for city centres, which have been experiencing a mass exodus since the beginning of the pandemic as tenant demand now begins to return. So the latest property market insights show the average asking rent across Great Britain, and this is excluding Greater London, is now 6.2% higher than this time last year in every region and 2.6% higher than in Q1 2021. So this is the biggest annual quarterly jump ever recorded on Rightmove. Now, just carrying on with that for a moment, some rental hotspots from Q2 2021. So the areas that have seen the biggest rises in the past year include city suburbs, commuter towns and coastal towns. Rochdale has seen the biggest annual change of an increase in rent of 32.7%. Running down the list from there, so we've got Folkestone, Farnham, Altrincham, Sevenoaks, where I live, at 19.3% increase. I haven't seen that on my buy today actually. Maybe I need to speak to my letting agent. Bognor Regis, Hockley, Blackpool, Camberley and Shrewsbury. Now, additionally, a report that I read went on to say that London rents in Q2 have increased for the first time since the pandemic. So the average asking rent is now higher than this time last year in every region except London, although the capital is starting to see an improvement. So London rents grew by 1.5% in Q2 compared to Q1, marking the first increase since Q1 last year before the pandemic started. However, these stats are still down by 3.1% annually, with these quarterly increases being driven by the outer London zones. In terms of what we're hearing from our clients, rather than simply just reporting what's in the news, those landlords with city central locations are certainly starting to see things warming up for them. They're seeing an increase in demand. The demand certainly isn't back to pre-COVID levels, but they're definitely seeing things starting to warm up again. And obviously that's going to be really driven by, first of all, the people being able to kind of live a more normal lifestyle, but also people are now starting to return to work. From what we're hearing, really September is the kind of key date when businesses are really opening their doors to employees, particularly in London for the first time. So a lot of businesses have kind of said, look, do you know what, let's carry on with the working from home thing for now. Let's have the summer. But actually in September we get back to business. And so there's an expectation that actually there's going to be a further influx of tenants coming back into centre locations, and particularly London, as we move into the autumn. Lastly, house prices. You've had a week off without me, so I thought you might be missing this. So look, the annual house price inflation slowed to 7.6% in July, which is down from 8.7% in June, which is pointing to a cooling market following the tapering of the stamp duty relief. And this is according to the latest Halifax House Price Index. So the average UK property price is now £261,221, which is up by 0.4% in July. Now, what they went on to say is that while many regions saw annual house price growth slow somewhat, reflecting the broad national picture, this wasn't the case everywhere. So once again, Wales and the north of England, specifically the northwest and Yorkshire and Humberside, continue to lead the way, posting the strongest annual rates of house price inflation, whilst the southwest also recorded a double-digit year-on-year rise. The 13.8% annual increase in house prices in Wales was the strongest recorded since March 2005, whilst for Yorkshire the 11% gain was also the highest for over 16 years. London continues to lag all regions in terms of annual inflations. They're at plus 2.5%, whilst gains in the southeast and eastern England remain at the lowest in the UK. So a slowing market, but it certainly isn't falling off a cliff, and actually some areas are continuing to perform incredibly well. And that is everything for this week. Thank you, as always, for watching us. We do appreciate you taking the time to have a listen and see what's been going on with the market. As always, if you have any questions, we would love to hear from you. Please do give us a call, 0345 345 6788, or have a look at our website, mortgagesforbusiness.co.uk. In the meantime, I'll be back again next Wednesday. I think the weather's going to be a bit kinder to us. I'd like to pretend that I brought the sun back from Mallorca for you. I'll take the credit for that, that's okay. But do have a lovely week, and I will catch you next time.